Before we dig into your anchor text this week, turn in your student book to page 714. We're going to look at the target skill and strategy and do a little previewing of the topic before we dig in. Compare and contrast. The next selection is about two very different animals who find a common bond. As you read Owen and Mazzei, look for ways in which the authors organize information to show how the two animals are alike and different. You got to think about each animal's size, age, and situation. And you can use a graphic organizer like the one below, which is called a Venn diagram, to help you note their similarities and differences. For example, two animals might be alike in that they both sleep in trees, but one may fly when it's active and the other may just prowl on the ground. But those are things that you can put into this Venn diagram. You would put things that are special about one animal at the far left, so Owen on this side, things that are special about the other animal, Mazzei, and then the things that apply to both of them are where the circles overlap in the middle. Recording this information can help you identify what is the same and what is different about the two animals, as well as what they have in common. Our strategy is to analyze and evaluate. When you analyze and evaluate a text, you think carefully about what you have read. You use text evidence to form your own opinion about the topic. One way to evaluate information is to examine the evidence the author provides. So as you look at your Venn diagram, you should check to be sure that the information is clear and accurate. Let's preview the topic. Animal behavior. By studying animal behavior, what do you think scientists are trying to find out? One thing that they're trying to learn more about is how animals form social bonds or close ties with each other. Most of the time, the bonds that form between animals are easy to predict. Sometimes, though, animals form bonds that shock even the experts. Owen and Mazzei is a true story about a baby hippo and an old tortoise that meet at an animal rescue center. As you read, you'll find out why these two animals made headlines all over the world. If you turn the page, you have our cover page for this story. There are 3 authors there, and you can read more about them and the photographer by reading the boxes here on page 716. We have our target skill Venn diagram here, reminding us to look at the similarities and differences between Owen and Mazzei. This is a narrative non-fiction piece. This tells about people, things, and events or places that are real. We can look for factual information that tells a story, text features like photographs and captions. So this selection tells us a true story about 2 animals. It tells events in an order in which they happened, and the photos and the captions will tell us more about the animals and their relationship to each other. Now, since this selection is a true story, that's why it's a narrative non-fiction. Let's look at the essential question down in the bottom of 717. How can animal behavior be like human behavior? We're going to keep that question in the back of our minds so that we can answer it once we've finished reading our anchor text this week. In just a second, I'm going to have you pause the video. I would like you to preview this story, look at the captions and the pictures, and then predict what you think the story is going to be about. Now, good readers also set a purpose for reading, and they do that by what they see during their preview and their prediction, and then what they already know about narrative nonfiction writing pieces and stories. So you are going to stop the video, you are going to preview, predict, and set your purpose, and come back when you're done. If I were to set a purpose for reading, the picture on the first page shows a hippopotamus and a tortoise, and they look like 2 old friends. There are lots of other pictures of them too in the story, and I wonder how they became friends and if their friendship is like a friendship between me and my friend, between humans. So I'm going to read to find out. What is your purpose for reading? You are going to begin to read Owen and Mazzei, and it starts on page 718, and it is done on page 727. So 718 to 727. Go ahead, pause the video, read that, and then come back when you're done. Now that you've read Owen and Mazzei, we are going to think through the text about what you've just read. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions showing you the pages that you can reference if you don't remember what you read. You're going to pause the video after each question, have a short discussion with your learning adult, and then come back until the video is finished. What are the two main reasons why Owen needs to live in a protected place? What do the three maps on page 718 show, and how do the three maps relate to each other? What text evidence tells you that bringing Stephen Tuwei to Malindi was a good idea? Why do you think Sabine and the other workers wanted to prepare Owen's new home before he arrived at the sanctuary? What fact supports the idea that Mazzei wasn't very friendly? How does the photo on page 721 relate to what's going on in the story? Analyze the text. Fact and opinion. Find one fact and one opinion on this page. How did you tell which was a fact and which was an opinion? Which of Mazzei's actions on pages 722 through 723 do the authors imply are things Owen's mother would have done? In what ways is Owen and Mazzei's friendship similar to a friendship or bond you have with someone? Analyze the text. Author's word choice. The authors use careful word choice to shape your opinion about Owen and Mazzei's friendship. How do words such as snuggled and inseparable shape your opinion of the pair? What makes Owen and Mazzei's friendship unusual? What evidence do the authors provide to support the idea that Owen thinks Mazzei is like his mother? What do the authors mean when they say our most important friends are sometimes those we least expect? Analyze the text. Compare and contrast. How are Owen and Mazzei alike? How are they different? Use details from the text to explain these similarities and differences. And this also brings us back to our target focus with the Venn diagram. What does resilience mean? Consult a print or a digital dictionary to find the definition. What have you learned about animals and animal behavior after reading this selection? You've just read an informational text about animal behavior. Authors of informational text have to decide how to organize the information that they're presenting. On page 728, the authors of Owen and Mazzei thought carefully about how to organize information about two very different animals. Throughout the selection, the authors compare and contrast the hippo and the tortoise, telling how the two animals are alike and how they're different. The photographs in the selection also show similarities and differences between the two animals. If you look back at page 721, how did Owen and Mazzei react differently in their first meeting? Well, throughout the story, the authors tell how the animals are alike and different. I've learned that Owen is a hippo and Mazzei is a tortoise. So that's a really big difference. That would go on each of their sides of the Venn diagram. Owen is young, so that would go on Owen's side, but Mazzei is very old. So that's another difference. Owen and Mazzei eat beside each other on the photograph on page 722 also shows them eating the same kinds of leaves. So that's something that's the same and can go in the middle of my Venn diagram where my circles intersect. Authors of nonfiction include facts in their writing. Facts are true statements that can be proved. Authors of nonfiction may also include opinions or statements that express thoughts, feelings, or beliefs. Phrases like I think and words such as good, bad, beautiful, and scary often are going to signal an opinion. Now, authors include evidence and details to support both facts and opinions. The authors choose their words and phrases carefully to shape your opinion about Owen and Mazee's friendship. They used specific adjectives and verbs to convey feelings. Read the sentence. The zoo visitors watched the mother nurture her young. The word nurture conveys that the mother took care of her young lovingly. This word choice communicates a feeling of love and caring. There's also additional words and phrases that communicate the feeling of warmth and friendship between Owen and Mazet. See if you can find some of those examples of author's word choice.